I'd like to give you small information, all right, regarding your assignment number 6, that is your group presentation. So for section B, it is starting from tomorrow, right? 11th of August, and the other date is 17th of August, that is next Tuesday, right? So tomorrow on Wednesday and on coming Tuesday, you'll be having your group presentations. So please come prepared, everyone, all right? And on coming Saturday, that is the last deadline for your submission of the second draft. So I believe those who had submitted your first draft in iLearn, I had provided you with feedbacks, I had provided you comments. So those who have not seen those comments, seen those feedbacks, please go to iLearn and please go through all the feedback and comments and do whatever is needful, whatever is necessary for your second draft. All right, and please submit it by Saturday, 14th of August. And after that, you'll have the final draft submission again. Okay, so you still have time to improve more. All right. So any question regarding the group presentation and the second draft? Any questions regarding the assignments?
म्याम सुन्नुहोस् न, अहिले त्यो रिकनेक्टिङ भएको भए भएको थियो क्या, त्यो नेट नै नचलेर त्यो
What happened, Praveen?
म्याम अटेन्डेन्स के भयो थाहै भएन क्या, अडियो नै आएको थिएन है।
Yes, your friend informed me that you are present.
थ्याङ्क यू म्याम, आइली एप्रिसिएटेड।
Right? Okay. So everyone, like, because you have no questions right now,
म्याम
I'm
रिगार्डिङ
expecting.
असाइनमेन्ट, म्याम रिगार्डिङ असाइनमेन्ट राइट म्याम, त्यो हाम्रो चाहिँ ड्राफ्ट त म्याम ड्राफ्ट होइन, त ग्रुपको ड्राफ्ट माग्नु भएको हो कि पर्सनलको प्रेजेन्टेसनको ड्राफ्ट माग्नु भएको?
The second draft is regarding your final assignment, the proposal. See, you submitted the first draft last week, right? I provided you some feedback. So now you add up to your proposal, you add more things or you remove whatever is unnecessary and submit the second draft again. Okay? So all you're supposed to do is you're supposed to work on the first draft again now. All right? And that will make it the second draft.
म्याम इट मिन्स अगेन वी निड टु सबमिट अ फाइनल ड्राफ्ट?
After second draft, again, like if it's everything is fine, like you'll be submitting the same thing. After the second draft also, if I ask you to add something more or remove something, you do that and submit the final draft later on. All right, so we'll do that. Is that clear?
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, it means
Right?
during the presentation we need to just present our present the
Mhm.
proposal, and later we need to summarize and then give summary and proposal in a final draft after the presentation.
Okay,
Then
I think like yes, something got confused here, right? So let me start from tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow is 11th of August, right? Tomorrow
yes,
and on 17th August, you'll be having your group presentation, right? That is for groups. That is a different thing. And assignment number 6 will complete after your group presentation, right? And the next one is regarding your final assignment, that was the proposal. So for the proposal, you have already submitted the first draft, right? Last week you submitted, most of you submitted the first draft. And I commented a few things. I gave you some feedback. If you have not checked, please go to iLearn and check that. Go to the feedbacks, do whatever is needful there for your draft, for your first draft. Make it better, improve it maybe. Or if you need to remove something, remove it. Or whatever you have to add, do that and submit that particular draft now as the second draft. Okay. So you do till that much by coming Saturday. After that, I will again see, I will go through your second draft also. If that is okay, I will tell you, yes, this is fine. You can submit the same second draft for your final assignment also. Or in the second draft, if you need to add more things, if you need to improve something, I will again tell you, improve these points. So you do that and submit the final draft later on. All right, I'll give you the date of the final draft. It was on 21st of August, right? But I think we can extend a day or two. Okay, so I think you are clear now. And regarding
group presentation,
yes, Rebison.
like should a group presentation be like uh, individual presentation or what? Like the slides.
For tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am. The group.
Oh, for the
Like,
group
do we
presentation,
need to have a full proposal or
you don't have
for the
to
group
make a
presentation? Yeah.
proposal there. No, no, you don't have to make a proposal for the group presentation. You can do anything for the group presentation. I have set you free. However you want to present, if you want to make a proposal, that's fine. If you don't want to make it, it's also fine. If you want to make a visual slides and present it, that's fine. Or you want to do a verbal presentation only, anything is fine. Or in a group, if only one person wants to speak also, I'm okay. But the
Ma'am,
marks will be divided accordingly.
ma'am, in group presentation, हाम्रो त्यसमा नै proposal छुट्टै बनाउनु पर्ने हो, like an individual presentation.
Not necessary,
Pardon,
not
pardon, ma'am.
necessary. If you want only, you make, but it's not necessary,
It means the
not
presentation,
important.
Sure, ma'am.
ma'am, presentation will be enough for the group presentation then.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you, ma'am. I highly appreciate it then.
Okay,
Highly appreciate.
all right,
Sure, ma'am. Thank you.
all right. And one more thing is you'll be getting one more assignment today based on learning objective 4. It's a simple one, and I'll give you more than 2 weeks time. All right. So today you will get the assignment. So don't get shocked that we have so many things to do. All right. You have enough time also. Okay. So let's start with today's class. Now today, after in the last class, we were discussing regarding cover letters, portfolios, resumes, right? So after that, what happens is after we submit our resumes or portfolios, submit our cover letters along with the resumes and CVs, we might be called for the interviews, right? So that is what we are going to discuss today regarding interviews and LinkedIn, right? So first we'll be going through interviews and then like going through LinkedIn. Now, most of you might know what LinkedIn is, or you might have LinkedIn accounts. But here, because it's included in the course, we'll be going through this also. All right. So regarding interviews first, now can you tell me how many of you have been to interviews? It might be any kind of interview. Yes,
Ma'am,
Archana has.
ma'am, कलेजले
Mhm.
एडमिसन लिनुभन्दा अगाडि इन्टरभ्यू लिएर के गरेर लाथ्यो.
Yes, that's
Even
also an interview, right? So because you mentioned the college also took your interviews, like all of you must have been to that interview. So how did you feel at that time?
A little scared
A little scared
and
because
worried
you
about
didn't
what
know what
they
will
will ask.
happen. Yeah. What will the results be, right?
Uh-huh.
What will the interviewers say? What will the questions be? So you were kind of nervous, kind of scared, and happy at the same time, right? So these are some of the mixed feelings whenever we appear for an interview, right? But that was just academic interview for you. But later on in your coming future, it'll be based on employment interviews for your job, right? For your career, to open your own business. There'll be lots and lots of interviews you might want to go. So let me go to the next slide. So here in this slide, you can see employment interviews. So these kinds of interviews are just like formal meetings. There are two people, or let's say there are two sides. One side, they are the interviewers, the employers, right? And the other side is you, that is the applicant, the candidate, right? So when you went for the college interview also, it must have been the same. One person was there as an interviewer and you were there as an interviewee. That means the applicant, the candidate, right? So both these sides, both these people, the employer and the applicant, they are there for the interview for their own purposes. They have their own objectives, right? And below you can see the objectives are the organization's main objective and the applicant's main objective. So because there are two people have their own objectives, their own goals. They want something for themselves. They are not there just because they have free time. They want something, that's why they are there. So what does the organization want and what does the applicant want? We need to understand that first. So here you can see the organization's main objective is to match applicants with the organization. Means the organization or the company wants to find the best person available for the job, right? And on the right side, the applicant's main objective, it is to find a job that best suits to the person's goals, objectives, capabilities, and knowledge. So the organization there, when we go to an interview, we must know that this person, the interviewer, is trying to search for such a person who can connect to their company. And the applicant there is in the interview because he or she wants to see if I can go and if I can work in this job or not. Will I benefit from this job or not? Is this job similar to my knowledge or not? So that is different objectives of the organization and the applicant, right? So basically we understood that there are two parts in an interview, two sides, right? Now after that, here you can see this is a typical interview sequence. Now in the middle section, you can see three phrases there: screening stage, selection stage, and final stage. So what happens is most employers, most companies, they interview maybe 2 or 3 times. Maybe small companies, they interview only once. But if you want to get inside a reputed, a huge company, they take your interview 2 or 3 times based on different fields, different circumstances. All right. So on the left side, you can see there is the interview process and it starts from the screening stage. Okay, so this is the first stage which you have to go through for an interview. So giving an example of a screening stage, how many of you have watched the movie Three Idiots? Can you just raise your hand?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, Three Idiots. Have you watched it? Yes, raise your hands, please, if you have watched it. Yes, many of us have watched it, right? Three Idiots, the movie with Amir Khan, right? So what happens there is, I don't want you to go through the entire movie, but if you remember the part somewhere, not at the very end, but somewhere at the end, okay? Somewhere at the ending, they almost finish their college, right? And they're in their last year, and there is one point where different companies come to their college and all the students, they go inside the rooms, different rooms, to give interviews. And the interviewers, the company people, they ask certain questions to each student. Remember that part? So that is basically a screening stage, right? So usually screening stages of an interview, it's held in colleges, it's held in universities, and sometimes it might not be held in universities. Sometimes they might directly call you to their company, to their office. So that is the screening stage. And in the screening stage, there is not much discussion. All they discuss is they want to know who the applicant is, who the candidate is. They want to know what kind of knowledge the candidate has. And they ask some questions about education, about experience, about their skills, their goals. So this is the screening stage. And after they ask these questions, they try to figure out whether this person should be called for the next interview or not. should be called for the next step or not. So the screening stage determines whether you are fit for the next interview or not. Now, after you get selected in the screening stage, you get called for the selection stage. Now, this is the stage where they decide, yes, we are taking him or we are taking her, or we are not taking them. So they decide yes or no. So after screening stage, they might give you a call, they might send you an email, a message. They might tell, like, please come to our office for interview at this and this date, this time. So here, this is the main part where they will ask you so many questions. So here what you need to do is you need to show interest in the job. You need to show interest in that organization. You need to explain about your skills, describe your experiences, connect your knowledge with whatever the organization's goals are, right? And here, usually in the screening stage, the interviewers, they will ask you insightful questions. They will try to see how you can handle situations, how you will react to different situations, right? And you are supposed to listen very attentively here and be very confident as well as humble, right? So after the selection stage, they might tell you, yes, we'll send you a message whether you got selected or not. And after that, if they select you, they will again call you for the final stage, right? And they will call you for the third interview. And after you go, this final stage will be a short kind of interview, short discussion, not very long, right? Because here they have already selected you and they just want to discuss about the salary and about other necessary details after you join their company. So in the final stage, they will ask you to compensate and make a deal with them based on your salary requirements. And after this, they might just ask you to join from tomorrow or the next week or whenever they want you to, right? So these are the three stages through which we have to go. These are the three interview stages usually. Now, it's not that every company you go to or every organization you want to join will go through these three stages, right? But nowadays, like looking at the world, looking at the companies which are mushrooming up, right? They go through these three stages to find the best person, right? So any questions regarding this interview sequence?
No, ma'am.
Okay, that's wonderful. So let's go to the next slide. Now here, these are some common interview types. They are structured, open-ended, and group interviews. Now the first one, structured interview, is the most common type of interview, right? And generally this is used in the screening stage interview. So here what happens is there are a preset questions. The interviewer and the interviewee, they already know what questions to ask, what questions will be asked. So everybody usually, maybe if there are 100 candidates, 100 candidates will be asked similar questions. So everyone knows what kind of questions will come, what will happen inside the interview hall. So there is a preset question, preset situation there. And usually the structured interview, it is controlled by the employer, by the interviewer, by the company people. They dominate and talk to you, right? They are the dominant one in the interview, right? So the second one, open-ended interview, this is quite different than the structured interview, or let's say it's completely opposite, right? Structured interview, there were formal preset questions, interviewer were dominant, right? But in open-ended interview, it's not that much formal, it's less formal, and it doesn't have a proper preset question structure also. There are open-ended questions, right? And usually the interviewer here in open-ended interview, they encourage the candidate, they encourage the applicant to speak up freely. They don't ask strict questions, yes or no questions. They ask like, What are your goals? What do you want to do in life? What do you think of life? And these kinds of questions. What do you think about the political situations? So you can say anything you feel like. So that is an open-ended interview, right? There is no pressure on you here. And the third one, that is the group interview. Now, from the name itself, group interview, we come to know that the group interview is conducted in a group, right? So some organizations, they perform group interviews. So this is a meeting with an entire group of 8 to 10 people, 8 to 10 candidates. So now they call all the candidates together in a room. The interviewer also sits along with the candidates and there is a discussion. So from the discussion, the interviewer, the people from the company, they try to see which candidate is the best, which candidate has communication skills, which candidate can lead, which candidate has interpersonal skills, and on the other hand, which candidate could not speak at all, which candidate was scared, and they will judge all the candidates accordingly. Those people, those candidates who could lead, who could stand up and talk in the group, they would obviously be selected. And those who were scared, those who did not answer at all, those who did not interact and speak at all, they will not get selected, right? So group interviews are there so that the interviewers, they can go through all the skills, go through all the candidates, what their behaviors are, what their characters are like, and decide whether to select them or not. Right? So group interviews work in that way. Now, apart from these three kinds of interviews, we have other three interview types, right? So here, there is the stress interview. So from the word again, we come to know stress interview is something very stressful and something very pressurizing, right? So these kinds of interviews are set up, or these kinds of interviews are done to see how well the candidate might handle a stressful situation. Sometimes you might be abruptly asked a question. You might be the interviewer might speak when you are speaking and interrupt you. The interviewer might criticize on your appearance. They might say that, no, I don't like your dress. So that will kind of demotivate a person, right? So they are trying to see how you will react to that situation. It's not that they are directly trying to demotivate you or they don't like you. They don't even know you. That is why they want to see how you will react to situation, right? So in a stress interview, you must understand and you must be prepared to face any situation, right? So that is the stress interview. The second one on this slide is a video interview. So this is regarding video conferencing. You might have to go on video or video conferencing for an interview. So it's the same thing, it's just online virtual interview, right? The third one here is situational interview. So here what happens is the interviewer will give you a situation, will describe a situation. Maybe they might give you a situation that when you are the manager, when you will become the manager of our company and there is a protest of staff, how will you handle it? So like this is just an example. They will give you any kind of situation and they will tell you what you will do in this situation then. How will you handle this? How will you face this situation? So from your answer, they will decide whether to select you or not. So your answer must be strong in situational interviews. You must be able to face the situation, right? The situation, of course, will be a hypothetical situation, but they will want to know whether you are fit for the job or not, right? So these are a total of 6 types of interview we went through. Any questions here? Okay, I guess that's a no. Now the next one here is, what do employers seek then? Now we went through what types of interview might come to us, right? But after we go to the interview, What is it that the employers might seek? What do the employers want? What do the interviewers want to see? What do they want from us, right? So here in this slide, what do they want from us then? Here you can see when it comes down to what they want from us or what they want from candidates, every job, they want basic qualifications, right? So the employers, they will look at two things, organizational fit and qualifications, right? If the candidate will fit in their organization, and if the candidate has special qualifications, special skills for the job or not. So just below organizational fit, you can see they will look at your personality, your background, your style, and below qualifications, they will look at your knowledge, your skills, abilities, right? So most interviews, they put a high priority on basic dimensions of your personality so that they can judge you whether you will be compatible with others in the organizations or not, whether you will be compatible with the corporate culture, will you be friendly, will you be able to go on with the organization culture, organization structure. So they'll try to look at that, right? So here, background is there, right? So personal background, they will want to know which background you come from, because your background indicates how you might fit in the organization based on your interests, your hobbies, your schooling, your college, where you lived in the past. So all those things will determine to them whether they should take you, whether you will fit in the organization or not. Now let's say you go to Japan. Now usually in Japanese organizations, if you go to Japan, like you have to know Japanese language. Even if you don't know, you have to take Japanese classes there, right? Language classes. So let's say if you go to Japan and you go for an interview there, and of course they will look at your background. Do you know Japanese language or not? Because we were not born in Japan. We did not live in Japan for so many years already. We do not know the culture there. So then at that time they will be skeptical. Why should they select you then? You don't know their language, you don't know their culture, you don't know their structure of the organization. So these things might matter here. That's why they check your background, right? And personal style. Now, style here doesn't mean your hairstyle or your dress up style, your fashion style, but what it means is what kind of person you are. Are you enthusiastic? Are you open? Are you friendly, sincere? Are you confident? All these kinds of things also matter there, right? And in the interview, they will try to look at those things. And on the right side also, like, and that is obvious, they will go through an educational pattern, what knowledge you have, what skills you have acquired, what abilities you have developed. So these things will also be necessary. And they will look at it through what you have done in the past, through your experience also. Now, some of us might not have proper experience, right? We might just be students. So what will we say? What are our experience? So your experience at the time when you're giving the interview is, you might want to say that you might have done some internships, or if not, in the college itself. Right now you are writing a proposal, that is also your experience. You might have done some research in other subjects, that is also your experience. So you're supposed to know what to speak at what time, right? So these are the basic things what the employer, what the interviewer will look at, right? So we must be prepared for all these. Now the next one here is pre-employment testing. So before they select you in their company, before they ask you to join their company and start your job, they will look at these kinds of things. They want to determine by looking at these things whether you are the best person for the job or not. So the first thing they might do is job skills testing. So for that, This is just a specific ability. They might give you one certain task and tell you to complete the task. So they're just checking, they're testing you whether you can complete the task or not. One thing might be that. The second one is integrity test. That is based on honesty. They will test you whether you're honest, whether you have morality skills or not. The third one is substance test. Now this is based on drug test and all those things. Sometimes these things might be there, other times it might not be there, right? The fourth one is personality profiles. Now this was based on the social media profiles, right? So usually to check your general character, they go through your social media profiles. This is also a test, right? And the fifth one, background checks. Again, they'll try to investigate on your background, on the candidate's background. They will try to know which school you are from, where you studied, where you grew up, what kind of environment you lived in. So all these things are there. And I think I've mentioned this before also. In some banks, in some organizations, when you are applying there and when they select you, they do another check. They come and they look at your house. They do a check on where you live, what kind of environment you are living. It's not that they come inside your house and look everywhere. They just come and look at your house from outside. Okay, this is the locality you live in. So they do these kinds of tests too. All right, so these are the few tests we need to be prepared for. Now the next one here is interview preparations, right? So before you go to the interview, these things, if you go through these things, this will help you to perform better, right? So the first one is conduct preliminary research. So this is based on the company. Before you go to the interview, before you go to the office and stay there for the interview, you need to do these kinds of research. You need to know the answer to all these things mentioned in this slide, right? So you need to know where you are going, corporate name. You need to know the age. Age means how old is the company. You need to know the location. Product or services means you need to find out what does the company do? What kind of products do they produce? What are the services do they give? You need to know about that. You can't go empty-minded. Industry position. You need to know where does the company stand in the market, in the industry. Is it in the very top of the market or somewhere in the middle, average kind of company? The next one, earnings and growth. What is the growth? What is the earning profit of the company each year? Try to do some research on that so that you know about the company and overall structure of the company. And on the right side, job title. What is it that you are applying for? Which job title? What is the function if you get that job? Try to know it beforehand. What are the qualifications that you need to apply for the job? Regarding your career path, your salary range, try to find out how much should your salary be. Because when you discuss regarding your salary with the employers, they might give you something less. So at that time, you must be able to see that in the market, based on other companies too, based on the industry, the salary range of this job title must be this much. So if you don't do any research, you will be in loss, right? And the last one here is travel and relocation. So you try to find out how much time will it take for you to reach the organization or company. Maybe you have to calculate the traffic time and all those things, right? So this is the research you need to do before you go for the interview, right? The second one is think ahead about questions. So what are the questions that might be asked to you, and what are the questions you need to ask yourself before the interview, right? So here you can see, okay, plan for questions. So planning ahead for questions, for the interviewer's questions, will help you a lot. It will help you handle more confidently, because coming abrupt questions, new questions might confuse you, might scare you. But if you prepare yourself, If you know these questions might come, you'll not be confused. You'll be more confident while answering them because you'll have practice, right? So you can expect some of these questions from this slide. Now they might ask you, tell us about yourself. So here you're supposed to introduce yourself, about your education, about your academics, about your experiences, right? Or if you have some awards, achievements, you can explain about that too. The second one is, what are your biggest strengths? So what is your biggest strength then? Maybe you can say communication skills are my strength, problem solving skills are my strengths. Maybe you know much about computers. You can say that I know everything regarding IT and computers, that is my strength. So you can describe those things here, right? And the next one is, what are your biggest weaknesses? So they might again ask you, okay, we know that you are a very strengthful person, but you might have weakness too. So what are your weakness? No, so at weakness, we can't say that I am very lazy, I don't like to work. If you say this, they'll not select you. So what will you say for your weakness? So weakness might be, you say it even positively. So one example might be, when I have much work, I like to complete my work very quickly. So you can show that it is your weakness. So what is determining is that my weakness is that I like to complete my work very quickly without even eating or without even having food. I just want to complete work. So this is trying to show them that he or she is a very hardworking person. He will choose the company over himself. See? So even if you are showing your weakness, that is a plus point for the interview, right? The next one is, why do you want to work with us? They might ask you, what is your purpose to come for the interview? Why should you come and work for us? Why do you want to work for this company? Why not other companies? So these questions might be there. Why should we hire you? So here you might want to say that you should hire me because it's not that because I don't have money, because I want to earn money. You can't say that, right? Instead, what you can say is, you should hire me, or this company should hire me because I have these skills. And from these skills, your company can have benefits. So these are the things you can say there. The next one, what do you know about our organizations? So for this question, we did the research already, right? So at this time, we can say whatever you know about the organization. And the last one here is, what are your goals? Means what are your objectives? What do you want to do in life? So you can answer that accordingly. And on the right side, those 6 points are basic things which might be asked in any interview. They might ask regarding your skills, regarding your goals in life, your achievements, your interests, hobbies, your attitudes, your relationships. And here, relationships doesn't mean that I have a girlfriend or boyfriend. Relationships can also be based on professional relationships. So you might want to describe those also. You can say that in my previous job, my relationship with all my colleagues was very friendly. We could work very, let's say, appropriately because we understood each other. So those kinds of things can be explained here, right? Now, these are the questions which might come to you. Now, here in the next slide, these are some of the questions which you must ask yourself. So before the interview, you might want to know, are these my kind of people? Means those whoever are in that company, will you be able to go along with them? Will I enjoy the work? Ask yourself that, yes or no. Do I want this job? Do you really want this job, or do you want to try somewhere else also, so that you have no regrets? Does this job pay well? So do some research on this. Try to find out from other companies too. Who will supervise me? Means try to find out who will be your boss, who will be your manager, who will be the person responsible for the entire company. You need to know them, right? What about my future? So will you have any advantage for your future? What will the company do for your future? So you need to ask yourself all these questions, right? So these were about questions. The next one is build your confidence before going to the interview. Polish your interview style, right? Do some practice. Plan to look your best. Means you can't go shabbily in your night suit, right? You need to wear proper clothes. You need to look proper. The next one, be ready when you arrive. Means when you are already inside the interview room or you're waiting for your turn, don't get nervous, don't get scared. Some people start sweating. They move from here to there, they don't know what to do. So don't do that. Be calm, be confident, right? So these are some of the things for interview preparation. Now here, more things to plan for the interview. So let's go through these one by one. There is build your confidence. Means after you build your confidence, you'll make a better impression. It's just like first impression is the last impression. If you enter the interview room and you are so scared, you can't even make eye contact, they'll just think, they will assume that you're not a confident person, right? So build your confidence, minimize your weakness, maximize your strength, and manage apprehension, so that you can make a better impression. You can influence the interviewers, right? The next one is polish your style. Means do some practice. Mock interviews might be there. You might want to practice non-verbal skills. So as soon as you enter, how will you start the conversation? Will you smile, or will you say good morning? Will you do a handshake? How will you sit down? Will you sit down just like you are lying on the bed, or will you sit in a proper manner? These are non-verbal skills. And there are voice trainings. Means before you go for the interview, you practice maybe in front of the mirror or in front of your friends and family, so you don't get confused while you're at the interview, right? That is polishing your style. The next one is plan to look good. So this is based on your clothing, your accessories, grooming. Appearance is very important, because again, first impression is the last impression. If you go shabbily, if you go very pathetic looking, they might again think whether to select you or not. So when you're going there for the first time, for the first interview, your clothing must be proper, must be professional, formal, right? And accessories. Now, if you wear gold jewelry just like you're going to a party, again, that will not be appropriate at that place, right? And the third one, grooming. Your hair, your nails, your shoes, everything also matters, right? After that, the last point, arrive prepared. Means prepare yourself for paperwork. Sometimes when you're going for the interview, you might want to take a copy of your resume, a copy of your cover letter or your portfolio, or maybe your academics, right? So prepare those, keep them with yourself. The next one, travel time. Look after the travel time. How much time do you need to reach to their office? You need to calculate the traffic jam also. So manage time accordingly. And the third one, waiting time. Now sometimes there might be a long list of candidates and you might have to wait for your turn. So at this time, don't be frustrated. Don't get, I don't want to stay here anymore, they're making me wait. You wait patiently, right? So that when your time comes, when your moment comes, you go there and you are able to influence them accordingly, right? So these are the 4 things you need to plan ahead. Now after you plan ahead, everything is planned, you are set, you are ready to go to the interviewers and you are ready to influence them, right? So now what happens inside the interview room now? Now the 3-stage process is here. This is what happens after you enter the interview room and the interviewer or the employer is in front of you, right? So there is the warm-up phase, the question answer stage, and the close. So these are the 3 stages you'll have to go through, all right? So the first one, in the warm-up phase, now there you can see on the screen, make a good first impression, right? So this is based on first impression and body language. So as soon as you enter the room, what will you do? You need to present yourself confidently. You need to show them that, yes, this person is the best person to select for our company. So what will you do as soon as you enter? Maybe you will smile, maybe you will say good morning, you will say namaste, or there might be a gentle handshake. So this is how you will start, right? The second thing you might want to remember is, don't just go inside and say good morning and sit down on the chair. Never do that. Wait until the interviewer asks you to sit down. Okay, they might tell you like, please be seated or sit down. But before they say that, don't go and sit yourself. Right? Wait for them to give you an indication. And the third one is, never start speaking yourself. After you go, they might ask you to sit down, so you remain silent after that. Let the interviewer speak. You don't speak in this warm-up phase, right? Let the interviewer start the discussion. And remember that 50% of the interviewer's decision is made in this warm-up phase. They make a decision in the first 30 or 60 seconds, in the first minute, as soon as they see you, from your non-verbal communication too, from your body language. How do you greet them? How do you walk inside the hall? Maybe like you are giving them your academic paper copies, your resume. So when you give it to them, how do you give it? Do you smile or is your face grumpy? So all these things matter, right? So remember, in the warm-up phase, it's just the first impression and your non-verbal skills. Okay. So after that, there is the second stage. That's the question answer stage. So here from the title itself, we know there are questions and we have to answer them. The interviewer asks questions and we as candidates, we answer the questions. We respond to the questions. But before we respond to the questions, we need to listen to the interviewers. So our listening skills must be good here. You must listen very carefully. You must understand what the interviewer is asking you, right? So this is the question answer round is one of the greatest part of the interview. They will ask you about your qualifications, about your skills. They will go through your resume and they will ask you, what are your knowledge? What are your education? What are your academics? Maybe if you have some experiences, they will ask you, okay, in your past company, you were in this post. So what did you do there? So here you are supposed to influence them. You are supposed to persuade them. You are supposed to describe about your achievements. What are the good things you have done? What are the proud moments in your life? Right? What are the skills you have and what are the skills you can give to that company? And here also remember that don't be dominant. Let the interviewer take the lead. You just answer. Of course, like explain in detail and explain longer, but never start talking yourself or never question the interviewer. He or she, the interviewer, will give you time to ask questions. So don't hurry up to ask questions yourself. All right. And when there are questions, when the interviewer is asking you a question, don't limit yourself also to yes or no answers. Now the interviewer might ask you like, have you worked in any other company before? Now if you have worked, you might want to say yes. And if you have not worked, we'll say no. So when you are saying yes or no, don't just say yes, I have worked in other company, full stop. Or no, I have not worked in any other company. So don't just say that. If yes, then explain where you have worked, what you have worked, what did you do there? And if no, you explain why no. No, I have not worked because until now I was studying, I was focusing on my studies and education. Explain in detail like this. But never just stop your answer to yes or just no. All right. And when you are answering, tailor your answers. Tailoring means customizing. Say what achievements you have. If you remember facts and figures, data, details, try to give them those details also. And always pay attention. Don't start thinking of other things. Don't start wandering off here and there. And here in the last point, you can see handling personal questions. So sometimes the interviewer might ask you personal questions too. So remember that it's up to you whether to answer personal questions or not. They might ask, so how is the relationship with your girlfriend? So it's up to you. How will you answer? They are trying to test you, right? So don't mix personal and professional questions. Say that, yes, like I have a girlfriend, but moreover that I want to focus on my career. So this is how you can handle these kinds of things, right? So in the question answer round, remember to answer all the questions and don't seem confused, okay? After that, there is the third stage, that is the close of the interview. This is the end of the interview, right? So try to close it, try to conclude it gracefully. Now it's not up to you that you can say, okay, thank you, now the interview ended. Again, let the interviewer say that this is the end. So they might say that we will give you a call or we will send you a message after the results, after we make the decision. So when they say this, maybe you would want to stand up, you say thank you to the interviewer, or sometimes they might call you to discuss about your salary. They might ask, they might tell you, if you have any questions, you can ask us questions. So at this time, you ask them questions, whatever you want to, right? So this is the closing of the interview. And remember, when you leave the interview room, you always thank them and you keep a smile on your face as you leave, right? And these are the 3 steps, but there is one more step which might come handy, which might be important for us. That is the follow-up after the interview. So after some interviews, you might not get calls for weeks, for months. So what should we do? How should we know what the results are, what their decisions are, right? So at those times, sometimes you can make a call to the company to just know if the results of the interviews have come, or sometimes you might just want to send an inquiry message. And after the interview, after you come out of the interview room, you might want to send a thank you message to the interviewers or to the company, right? And here in the third point, you can see accepting an offer or declining an offer. Now, they might say that, yes, you are selected. Please join our company from tomorrow. So if you want, you accept the offer. You say, thank you, I will join from tomorrow. Or if you think that, yes, I want to go to another company, I don't want to stay here. You say, no, like even though I came to the interview, I think I need more time for myself. I want to explore more, right? You can do that too. The fifth one here is job resignations. Now, the place where you gave the interview, they might select you and call you. They might say join from day after tomorrow. But you have to leave another job before you join the new job. So there, you might want to ask time. You might say, I need 1 week time because I have to clear everything in my previous job, previous workplace, so that I can come to this new workplace and work efficiently, right? So you can do these kinds of things after you finish the interview, right? So these were all regarding interviews. Any questions? Okay. If not, let's move on to the next part of today's class, that is LinkedIn. Now, can you all raise your hands if you have LinkedIn accounts? Yes, Archana has, Alex. And I believe some more of you might also have your LinkedIn accounts, right? So those of you have, that's great that you use LinkedIn. It's very good. And those of you who do not have your LinkedIn accounts, I will show you how to open a LinkedIn account, right? Because LinkedIn accounts in today's world has become very important for your professional career. It is just like a social media account, just like Facebook and Instagram, but as a professional one, right? Not as a casual one. So let's go to the next slide. Now here, what is LinkedIn? So those who have LinkedIn accounts, you might already know, but as generally looking at what LinkedIn is, it is one of the world's largest professional networks on the internet. Now, other things like YouTube, Facebook, these are also large networks, right? But they are not that professional. They are casual kind of networks, social networks, right? But this is a professional one, basically focusing on jobs and careers, focusing on employers and employees. Okay, so this is used to find the right job, internship, and different associations and organizations, right? This is used by both employee and employer to find a job and to find staff used by that, right? Online professional profile, and it's a marketing tool too, to promote your organization, to promote your company. This is also used for that, right? The next one, why LinkedIn then? Okay, we understood it's a professional profile, professional platform. But why should we use? We have other platforms too. But here, this is different. There is nothing else like LinkedIn for a professional platform because it is used by over 433 million members, right? It allows you to connect to various professionals, not only from one field, but from multiple fields. It has access to people, to jobs, to news, updates, insights, and many more. And it's free, just like we open Facebook accounts in free, we open emails, we just open Instagram accounts, or we open other kinds of social accounts. LinkedIn can also be opened like that, right? It is also free and it's very easy. I'll show you the process. Now here, how LinkedIn can help you. So establishes your professional profile and control one of the top search results for your name. It builds and maintains your professional network, right? Because this is a professional platform. It finds and connects with colleagues and classmates. It helps you to learn about other companies and get industry insights. It helps you find other professionals in the same industry, in the same field. It helps you to tap into the knowledge of your network, get deeper into the field, get more knowledge, right? And it helps you discover new career opportunities. It gives you more chances. It provides you new opportunities. It shows you new companies, new vacancies, and all these things, right? The next one, these are some LinkedIn statistics. 433 million members in 200 countries. So you can get the information of people, organization, companies based on 200 countries, right? An average of 2 new members join LinkedIn every second. 40% of LinkedIn users check LinkedIn every day. That means based on your information, based on whatever knowledge, skills you have put inside LinkedIn, your account might also be checked, right? The average CEO has 930 connections. So here connections in LinkedIn are just like friends in Facebook, right? Just try to understand it like that. Over 39 million students and recent graduates are on LinkedIn. So it's not only those people from professional fields, students who want to start their career, who want to start a new job, who want opportunities, they are also on LinkedIn. People who list skills on their profile get 13 times more views. So I'll show you how you are supposed to keep input skills and qualifications there. And based on your skills and qualifications, people might come and look. People might come searching for you, right? And LinkedIn is available in 20 different languages. That's a huge number, right? Now here, this is how you can create a profile. You can go to those who don't have an account, right? Those who have an account, you don't have to create again. Those who don't have, please go to www.linkedin.com and this page will appear there. You are supposed to put in your email and your password there to join. After that, you'll have to put more details, just like your country name and the zip code. Now, zip code are similar to postal codes, right? If you did not know, the zip code of Nepal is 00977. If you need it, please note it down. And the zip code of Kathmandu is 44600. So these are the mostly used postal codes based on our country. So you're supposed to fit in that. After that, build your profile strength. Mention your school, your university, which year you were studying, which year you ended your studies. Mention those things. After that, add your work experience, wherever you have worked or where you want to work, right? Here, build your profile strength. So verify your email address. There is an option to add and invite contacts. So here, your LinkedIn account can be connected with your email, with your Facebook, Instagram, or other social media accounts. So from there, from other accounts, from other social media accounts, you can invite your friends, invite your family too into LinkedIn for a professional platform, right? And here, personalize your profile. Means you can just keep your photo, but when you are keeping a photograph of yourself in LinkedIn, remember what kind of photograph you will keep. Don't keep a very flashy photograph or a photograph of yourself partying wildly or when you were on a vacation. In LinkedIn, choose a picture which is professional, right? Choose the right expression. Wear proper and professional formal clothes there. And your background also should be decent. Don't keep flashy backgrounds, right? Don't keep very distracting kind of backgrounds. Wear proper clothes. And it's also mentioned here on the left side, no selfies, right? Because if you keep a selfie as your profile picture in LinkedIn, it will again show that you are not a very serious person, right? So here in LinkedIn, your profile picture, your profile photograph also matters a lot. And the next points here you need to remember is your photograph, professional profile, right? Professional photo, your experiences. What are your experience? So not necessary that it's only paid experience. Your experience can be your internship, your research, proposals. Mention those things. Mention your skills, your voluntary experiences. If you have volunteered anywhere, mention those. Organizations. What are the organizations you have worked in? Where have you worked? Who have you worked for? Mention those. Honors and awards. If you were awarded with something, if you have achieved something, if you have some honors, mention those. And give a brief summary. Just like in the resume, we gave a 2-line summary of ourselves based on our objectives, right? So here also, you can give a slightly small summary and you can highlight, you can explain about your experiences, your interests, your objectives, your goals in life, right? So these things can be done here. And the other things are based on your test scores. If you want, you can mention your test scores. Now, publications, if you have any publications, if you have your any book published, you can mention those. Share your interests, causes you care about. Now, you might want to write that, yes, I care about hunger, I care about poverty, I care about illiteracy. So you can mention those things. And projects, if you have worked in any project. And certification, if you have any certificates, mention those. Now here, education, right? Now in the third point, you can see GPA, but that is not mandatory. That's not necessary. If you want, if you have very good, let's say you have 4 GPA, you mention that. But some people, let's say a person named Ram, he might have 2.0 GPA. So he might not want to mention those. So that's okay. If you don't want to mention also, right? Okay, so mention education also in that way. And here, these are things you need to remember. Fill out the summary field with 5 to 6 of your biggest achievements. Mention what are the things you have done up to now. Add image or documents to your experience. Sometimes you might want to add your resume and portfolio so that when people come and check your profile, they can go through your details quickly. Fill out as much as possible. Fill all the details there. Keep your work history relevant. Check into your profile frequently. Now, this is one important thing, because what happens is most people, what they do is they create a LinkedIn account and they leave it for months, for 1 year. After 1 year, they go into the LinkedIn account again and they try to do some more updates. They look at it once or twice. Again, they leave it for 2 years. After 2 years, they go inside the LinkedIn account again. So this happens there. So instead of doing that, check it frequently, maybe once a week or once in 2 weeks at least. So please keep your LinkedIn accounts updated. And lastly, there are add connections. So I mentioned earlier, connections are like friends in Facebook, right? So here in LinkedIn, try to add more and more friends, more connections, right? Try to like or try to keep connections with people who you are influenced from, who you are persuaded from. So do those things. And here, this is one sample profile. Now, this is Jeff Weiner. He is the chairman of LinkedIn. He's the, let's say, creator of LinkedIn. So this is his profile. If you want to go and look at his profile, you may, all right? And I went through this LinkedIn profile creating thing very quickly because all of us have social media accounts, right? And not only do we create our social media accounts, but we create our parents' social media account for them. We create accounts for our grandparents, maybe for our small brothers and sisters. So we have a habit of creating different accounts. And while you are creating this LinkedIn accounts who don't have accounts till now, it won't be anything difficult for you. Everything will be easy. It is just fitting in, feeding in details and feeding in whatever experience or education you have, right? So this will help you for your professional career. So any questions regarding LinkedIn? Okay.
No,
If
ma'am.
not, that's great. Now, this is one small assignment you have. Prepare your resume, including your LinkedIn profile link. So now the submission deadline is 21st of August. That is almost 2 weeks. Let's say more than 1.5 weeks. That is on next Saturday, not coming Saturday, but next Saturday. So you have plenty of time. So prepare a resume. Okay, we did it in the previous class, right? So while you're preparing the resume, please mention your LinkedIn profile link too. So below there in the guideline, you can see those who don't have LinkedIn account, you can go through that particular link, www.linkedin.com, and create your account. So after you create the account, please copy your account link and mention it in your resume. So the resume is all you have to create for assignment number 7. All right. So are you clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Ma'am,
that's wonderful. Yes.
I have some questions.
Yes, please, Archana.
Ma'am, will we have midterm examination for the subject?
I think you will, because the last semester they had for business communication.
Mm-hmm. So, what about a
Mhm.
final examination? We will have it, right?
Yes, of course, you'll have the finals too,
Okay.
right? Don't worry.
Okay.
I think like if you were very attentive in my classes,
Uh-huh.
everything will be very easy for you if regarding the question paper.
No,
But if you
actually,
were not in class,
we have a lot
yes.
of assignments, Nita.
Mm-hmm.
आणि
Yes, no, but even though you have assignments, like you will have, I think like you have to go through the assessment details once, because the assignments they carry about 70% of the entire marks, and the final assignment, I mean the final your what is it called, the board, yes, the board that will carry around 30 marks, I guess.
So there is written that the final
Mhm.
paper, there is something called final paper there. No, is it the
Yes,
business plan paper or is it something else?
wait, let me just check. Okay, here I have it. So yes, 70 marks from all the assignments and all your
Mhm,
presentations, right? And 30
mhm.
for semester end examination.
What about the paper writing at the end of the session? What is
The
that?
final proposal, you mean, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah,
You
final
mean, yes,
paper writing.
15. For 15 marks, paper writing at end of session. That is your proposal writing, which you are writing now.
Okay. So
Okay.
we have to present that as well, right?
Yes, and paper writing is not only based on your proposal. After you submit the final proposal also, I'll tell you when, you have to give
Mhm.
me a presentation, a verbal
Okay.
presentation based on that proposal.
Okay, so no visual presentation.
If you want to make a visual one, it's fine. If you don't want, that's also fine. It's up to you.
Okay. Uh, okay, ma'am. Got it.
All right. All right. Okay. So after this, now I want to remind you again, this is assignment number 7 on your screen, right? You have to submit it on only next Saturday. You have time for this. But on coming Saturday, you're supposed to submit your second draft, your proposal, right? Please try to submit that. And tomorrow you have your group presentation. So please come prepared. All right. Let me go to the attendance once more. Ritiz, not here. Salina,
Present, ma'am.
okay. Sarishma, Smith, okay, Smith is here, I guess. All right. The rest of you are also marked present. So let's do this much for today.